Listen carefully, because if you're hearing this right now, it's not by accident. There comes a moment in every believer's life when Allah sends a sign so subtle, so quiet, that most people don't recognize it. But if you do, everything changes. That heaviness on your soul, those sleepless nights, that restlessness you can't explain, it's not random. It's a whisper, a call from Allah that your story is shifting and your destiny is being rewritten in ways you can't yet see. Stay with me until the end of this video, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why the delays, the heartbreaks, the silence, and every unanswered dua were never rejections. They were preparations. 1. The restlessness you can't explain. Before Allah rewrites your destiny, He begins by unsettling your heart. You don't notice it at first. It starts quietly, a subtle heaviness, a shift you can't put into words. Suddenly, the things that once made sense don't. The goals you once chased feel empty. The people you thought you couldn't live without begin to feel distant. It's confusing because nothing around you has changed, but inside, everything is different. You lie awake at night. The world outside is silent, but inside, your soul is loud. Something pulls at you, tugging softly but persistently. You don't know what it is, but you feel it deep in your chest. It's Allah's first whisper. What you're holding on to can't take you where I'm about to send you. And you feel it everywhere. In the way conversations no longer comfort you. In the way the crowds you once loved now drain you. In the way your ambitions have started to dissolve like smoke in your hands. This isn't random. This isn't meaningless. It's the beginning of transformation. It's Allah quietly rearranging your soul. Before He rearranges your life, that strange feeling that your life doesn't fit anymore, that's the sign. Your old season is ending. A new one is quietly arriving. And you can sense it, even if you can't explain it. You start noticing how the dunya doesn't feel the same anymore. The victories that once excited you no longer touch your heart. The gatherings you used to crave now leave you restless and drained. It's as if your heart is outgrowing its surroundings. This is Allah removing the old version of you, piece by piece, so you can carry the blessings He's been saving for you. And yes, it feels uncomfortable, because you're being stretched beyond the edges of who you thought you were, because you're becoming someone you've never met before. But deep down, you can feel it. You know this isn't an ending. It's the quiet beginning of everything you've prayed for. Sometimes, Allah begins by making you feel like a stranger in your own life. You wake up and suddenly, everything feels unfamiliar. The faces are the same, the places are the same, but you are not the same. It's as if your soul has already started walking towards a place your body hasn't reached yet. You sit in the same conversations you used to enjoy, but now they feel hollow. You listen to the same laughter around you, but your heart doesn't move, and you start wondering, why am I changing? Why do I feel so disconnected from everything I used to love? That's when you need to pause and remember this truth. Allah unsettles your heart. Before He settles your soul, the restlessness you're feeling is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is coming. It's Allah preparing you for what you cannot yet see. He's softening your grip on the life you thought you wanted, because He's about to place something greater in your hands. And yes, it hurts. Letting go always hurts. Watching pieces of your old life fall away feels like breaking, but sometimes you need to break so you can be rebuilt. The habits, the dreams, the people, everything you thought was permanent was only temporary scaffolding, holding you up until this moment. Allah is now removing the pieces that cannot go with you into where He's taking you next. And in those quiet, sleepless nights, when your heart aches without reason, know this: you are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. Prepared for blessings you once prayed for, prepared for doors you couldn't open before, prepared for a version of life You couldn't have carried yesterday. That's why your old desires are fading. That's why the dunya feels empty. That's why nothing fits anymore. Because Allah is whispering to your soul, I am making room. What's ahead of you requires more space than what's behind you. Every unanswered dua, every delayed plan, every heartbreak you didn't understand was not silence. It was alignment. Allah is not late. He's exact. And the unease you feel right now is your sign that something greater is already on its way. One morning, you'll wake up and the heaviness you carry today will feel like a distant memory. One day you'll understand why Allah closed the doors you cried for, why He pulled you away from the places you begged to stay in, why He let certain people walk away, even when you thought you needed them the most. Because when the new chapter begins, you won't just move forward. You'll look back and finally whisper, Subhanallah, He was preparing me all along. And maybe right now, you're standing at the edge of that chapter. You can't see it yet. You can't name it yet. But your soul feels it coming. That's why you're restless. That's why you feel heavy. Because Allah is whispering change into your destiny. And the shift has already begun. 2. When Allah pulls you away from what you chased, you thought you knew what you wanted. You prayed for it. You planned for it. You held onto it so tightly as if letting go would break you. You pictured your life with it. You built your dreams around it, and you begged Allah to make it yours. But one day, without warning, He started pulling you away from it, and you didn't understand why. Suddenly, the person you thought you couldn't live without began to feel distant. The dream you worked so hard for started slipping through your fingers. The life you thought was yours began to fall apart in front of your eyes. You cried, you fought, you tried to hold on harder. But the harder you held on, the faster it seemed to fade. And you started asking yourself, why is Allah taking this away from me? Didn't I ask Him for this? Didn't I pray for this every single night? What you didn't see was that it wasn't being taken from you. You were being pulled away from people who were never written in your destiny, pulled away from paths that would have led you to harm, pulled away from places that would have broken you in ways you couldn't recover from. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Sometimes Allah loves you too much to let you settle for less than what He has written for you. And sometimes His protection looks like heartbreak. That person you thought was your future, Allah saw something you didn't, that dream you wanted so badly. Allah knew it would have delayed what He planned for you. You couldn't see it yet, but He could. And so gently, He started moving you away. It hurt, didn't it? Because you thought losing it meant losing yourself. But what you didn't know then was that Allah only removes to make room for something better. Every unanswered dua, every closed door, every distance He created between you and what you chased was His mercy in disguise. You see, we love through our limited vision. We cling to what we think will complete us, but Allah loves through His perfect knowledge. And when He pulls you away from something, it's because He knows what you don't. He knows where that path ends. He knows what would have broken you, even while you thought it would heal you. So what feels like loss today is actually Allah saving you from a future you would have begged to escape. And one day, you'll look back and whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for protecting me from what I couldn't see. Sometimes Allah pulls you away so gently, you don't even notice it happening. One small change, one subtle shift, one unexpected distance, and slowly the thing you thought you couldn't live without begins to lose its shine. You don't laugh the same way anymore. The conversations don't feel as warm. The dreams don't pull you like they used to. At first, you fight it. You try to force the pieces back together. You tell yourself, no, this is what I want. This is what I prayed for. I can't let this go. But no matter how tightly you hold on, it keeps slipping through your hands. That's when frustration creeps in. Why, Ya Allah? Why are you doing this to me? Why give me this desire only to take it away? And in that silence, Allah is whispering something you cannot yet hear. I'm protecting you. I'm pulling you towards something greater. Trust me. You see, sometimes the things you chase look perfect from the outside. They seem like the answer to your detours. But inside, they carry storms you cannot survive. And Allah, in His infinite mercy, saves you from battles you didn't even know were coming. That's why the friendship you begged to keep fell apart. That's why the opportunity you thought was everything collapsed. That's why the person you loved walked away, not because Allah forgot you, but because Allah chose you, chosen for better, chosen for protection, chosen for blessings, that your heart hasn't even learned to desire yet. You don't see it now. Because right now, all you feel is the ache of losing what you wanted, but Allah sees beyond the moment. He sees the roads ahead, the heartbreaks you never had to taste, the disasters you were never meant to live through, the pain He shielded you from before it reached your door. And so, one day, you'll look back at this exact moment and realize something beautiful. That heartbreak was a door, that distance was a blessing, that loss was Allah's mercy, dressed as pain. Because you were never losing. You were always being led towards people who will honor your heart. Led towards opportunities meant only for you. Led towards blessings that carry your name on them since the day you were born. But to reach them, you had to let go of what was never yours. And letting go isn't easy. It feels like breaking. It feels like betrayal. It feels like standing barefoot in the ruins of everything you built. But sometimes you must stand in those ruins to see the horizon Allah is preparing for you. One day, you'll understand why the doors closed. You'll see the wisdom in every delay. You'll realize that Allah didn't take anything from you. He was clearing space for what you truly needed. And when that day comes, you'll whisper through tears, "Ya Allah, I finally understand. You were saving me for something greater all along." So if you're here right now, heart heavy, hands empty, soul restless, don't mistake this distance as rejection. Don't confuse this silence with abandonment. This is divine positioning. This is protection. This is love. The very thing you're crying over today might be the very thing you'll thank Allah for tomorrow. Trust Him, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because the one pulling you away is the one who knows where you truly belong. 3. The doors that refuse to open. Sometimes Allah lets you knock until your hands bleed. You keep trying, you keep praying, you keep showing up at the same door thinking, this is it, this has to be it. But the door doesn't move, the lock doesn't turn. The silence on the other side grows heavier and heavier, and you start to wonder, why, Ya Allah? Why won't you open this for me? Why won't you let me in? You think maybe you didn't try hard enough, so you push harder, you sacrifice more, you cry longer, you pour every ounce of yourself into making this one thing work. But no matter how tightly you hold on, no matter how many nights you beg, it doesn't open. At first you think it's punishment. You think Allah is angry with you. You think maybe your du'as are not worthy, maybe you're not worthy, but what if it's none of that? What if that door isn't locked because you're unworthy, but because it was never written for you? What if that silence isn't rejection, but protection? You see, we fall in love with what we think we need. We plan our lives around it. We imagine our happiness behind that door, and so we cling, believing, if I just get this one thing, I'll be okay. But Allah sees what we cannot. He sees the road that door would have led to. He sees the heartbreak waiting on the other side. He sees the storm you wouldn't have survived. So He closes it, and He lets you cry. He lets you plead. He lets you sit at the doorstep until your knees ache from sajda, and your heart feels raw from praying. Not because He's cruel, but because sometimes we have to exhaust ourselves before we're ready to walk away. And when you finally stand, when you finally whisper, Ya Allah, I trust you more than I trust my own plan, that's when something shifts. Because the door you thought you needed was never your door. It was just there to lead you closer to Him. Every unanswered dua, every attempt that collapsed, every dream that faded before it bloomed, was Allah whispering, "This is not where your risk lives. This is not where your soul belongs." He withholds because He loves you. He redirects because He sees you. And when He denies something, it's only because He has written something better, something you would have never dared to ask for. You just can't see it yet. One day, you'll look back and realize those doors you cried for were never your doors. You'll remember how you sat in the dark, asking Allah, "Why not this one? Why not here? Why not now?" And you'll finally see that His silence was the loudest form of love. Because sometimes Allah protects you by not giving you what you asked for. He knows that behind the door you begged for was a pain you couldn't handle, a test you weren't built for, a storm you would have drowned in. And so He says no. Not to break you, but to build you. Not to punish you, but to protect you. We don't like closed doors because we want control. We want to believe. We know what's best for us. But Allah sees the full picture when all we see is a single frame. He knows where every path leads. He knows which hands will hold you and which ones will break you. He knows which dreams will heal you and which ones will destroy you. So He chooses for you, even when you don't understand His choices. And yes, it hurts. Because letting go of what you wanted feels like letting go of yourself. It feels like standing at the edge of something you can't name, empty-handed and unsure. But what you don't see yet is that your hands aren't empty. They're being cleared to hold something better, cleared to receive what was always meant for you, cleared to carry blessings your old life wasn't big enough to hold. And when that new door finally opens, you'll understand why the old ones never did. Because when Allah gives, He gives without measure. He gives without limits. He gives in ways that make you fall to your knees and whisper through tears, "Ya Allah, this is more than I ever asked for." And in that moment, you'll realize something powerful. You were never being delayed. You were always being prepared. Every closed door shaped you. Every rejection humbled you. Every detour protected you. And one day, when Allah finally places you exactly where you're meant to be, you'll see it all so clearly. You'll look back at the heartbreaks, the failures, the unanswered du'as, and you'll whisper, "Subhanallah. If even one of those doors had opened, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be ready. I wouldn't be me." So if you're standing at a door right now, knocking until your hands ache and it still refuses to open, breathe. Don't mistake silence for abandonment. Don't confuse delay with denial, because Allah isn't ignoring you. He's guiding you, and where He's taking you is always better than where you thought you'd be. Trust the doors He closes. Trust the paths He blocks. Trust the pauses He writes into your story, because behind every no is a bigger yes you can't see yet. And when it arrives, you'll understand why He made you wait. Until then, hold on, because the door He's preparing for you is not just going to open dash. It's going to open beautifully at the perfect time, in the perfect way. And when it does, you'll finally whisper to yourself, "Ya Allah, you knew all along." 4. The sign hidden in your silence. There comes a moment in your journey when the noise begins to fade. The laughter that once filled your days grows distant. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel heavy, and suddenly you find yourself withdrawing without even trying to. You start saying less. You spend more time alone. Crowds that once energized you now leave you drained. Even familiar faces begin to feel unfamiliar. You look around and wonder, why am I changing? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? But deep down, you sense something shifting inside you. This isn't loneliness. This isn't you becoming cold or distant. This is preparation. When Allah wants to transform you, He quiets your world. He slows everything down so you can finally hear what you've been ignoring all along. Your soul. The silence you're feeling. is not emptiness. It's an invitation to return, to pause, to listen. Because when Allah wants to speak to your heart, He often removes every other voice. So His whisper becomes the only one you hear. And that's why you feel so disconnected. That's why you no longer fit in the same spaces. That's why the people you once clung to now seem distant. It's not rejection, it's elevation. You're being pulled away from the distractions that kept you blind to the whispers of your own soul. This silence is sacred. It's the space where Allah rebuilds you, where He stitches together the wounds you didn't even realize you were carrying, where He teaches you things no lecture, no conversation, no crowd could ever teach you. And yes, it feels strange, because for the first time in a long time, you're forced to sit with yourself, to feel everything you've been running from, to face the parts of you you've been avoiding. But that's exactly where growth begins, because in the quiet, you realize something powerful. You've been living too much for the world, and too little for the one who created it. And Allah, in His mercy, is calling you back. Not loudly, not forcefully, but gently, through silence. You thought losing people would break you. You thought being overlooked would destroy you. But instead, you're learning that you were never truly alone. Every soul pulled away, every room you outgrew, every gathering that no longer feels right. Is Allah making space for something deeper, your connection with Him? This silence is not a punishment. It's proof you're being prepared for blessings you haven't even prayed for yet. There comes a time in your life when Allah removes you from everything that was once loud enough to drown Him out. You won't understand it at first. You'll feel the sudden weight of distance. Friends will fade, crowds will scatter. Even the people who promised to stay will quietly disappear. And your first thought will be, why is this happening to me? Why does everyone seem so far away? But this isn't abandonment. This isn't rejection. This is an invitation. Because before Allah elevates you, He isolates you. He pulls you away from everything and everyone. That keeps you tied to an old version of yourself. The version of you that was too distracted to pray with sincerity. The version of you that relied too much on people and too little on Him. The version of you that confused noise for purpose and company for connection. So He removes you. Gently, softly, without warning, and suddenly you find yourself alone. It's uncomfortable at first. You reach for people out of habit, but they're no longer there. You return to spaces you once loved, but they no longer feel the same. The conversations you used to enjoy now sound hollow, and slowly, painfully, you're forced to sit with yourself, with your thoughts, with your wounds, with your silence. That's when the whispers begin, not from people, from Allah. Because when the world grows quiet enough, you begin to hear the things you've been running from all along. You start noticing how tired your soul has been, how heavy your heart feels, how long it's been since you spoke to Allah like He was your closest friend. This silence becomes a mirror. It shows you the parts of yourself you've ignored for too long. It forces you to confront the pain you've buried beneath endless distractions. And it's here, in this lonely, uncomfortable stillness, that the healing begins. Because while you think you've been stripped of everything, what's really happening is that Allah is clothing you in a new layer of strength. He's teaching you that your worth was never tied to their approval, that your path was never meant to fit their expectations, that your heart was always safest in His hands, not theirs. One day you'll look back on this silence and realize it was the loudest season of your life. You'll remember the nights you cried, thinking no one could hear you, and realize Allah heard every word. You'll remember the times you thought you were walking alone, and realize He was carrying you the whole time. This isn't emptiness. This isn't punishment. This is positioning, because the person Allah is shaping you into cannot be built in public. The blessings He's preparing for you cannot be carried by the version of you that existed before this silence. And so He hides you. He pulls you away. He strips the noise, the chaos, the false attachments, until you're left with nothing but Him. That's when you realize this silence was never about losing the world. It was about finding your place with Allah. You begin to pray differently, not out of routine, but out of longing. You speak to Him softly, not with memorized words, but with raw ones, the kind that rise from the deepest parts of your soul, and you start to feel it, that closeness you were searching for everywhere else. That peace you thought lived behind achievements, relationships, and milestones. It was here all along, in this silence. Because sometimes Allah answers your du'as, not by giving you more, but by taking away everything that was keeping you away from Him. This is why you've been pulled back. This is why your circle is smaller. This is why your days feel quieter. It's not because you've lost, it's because you're being rebuilt. And when this chapter is over, you'll step into blessings so vast. You'll understand why Allah had to clear your hands first. You'll understand why He removed those people, why He ended those plans, why He placed you in a season of silence that you once mistook for loneliness. It was never loneliness, it was love. And when the next chapter begins, you'll whisper through tears, Ya Allah, thank you for hiding me until I was ready. 5. Allah rewrites your desires before He rewrites your life. There comes a time in life when the things you used to beg for no longer move your heart. The dreams you once thought you couldn't live without suddenly feel distant. The people you once imagined standing beside you forever don't hold the same place in your soul anymore. And you sit there, confused. You whisper to yourself late at night, what's happening to me? Why am I changing like this? Why don't I want what I used to want anymore? It's unsettling, isn't it? Because for so long, you built your life around these desires. You prayed for them, you planned for them, you shaped your identity around the things you thought you needed. And now, without warning, your heart feels like it's drifting away from them. But this isn't confusion, this isn't emptiness, this is transformation. When Allah wants to change your life, He begins by changing your heart. Before He rewrites your destiny, He rewrites your desires. The du'as you once cried for so passionately begin to soften on your tongue. The ambitions that once consumed your thoughts lose their grip on you. And without even realizing it, you start longing for things you never used to think about. Suddenly, you crave more silence. You seek more meaning. You want deeper connections, not louder crowds. You start noticing how temporary everything around you feels. And yet, nothing outside you has changed. The same places still exist, the same people are still there, the same opportunities remain within reach. But inside, everything is different. It's as if Allah has placed your heart on a new frequency. You're no longer drawn to what once pulled you. You're no longer attached to the same markers of happiness you once chased. And at first, you resist it. You try to hold on to the pieces of the old you. You pray the same prayers. Even though they no longer feel alive, you chase the same goals, even though your soul has outgrown them. But deep down, you know something has shifted. You're not the same person anymore, and you're not meant to be. Because Allah, in His mercy, is preparing you for something greater. He's removing your attachment to what you thought you needed, so He can give you what you were created for. This is why the old dreams lose their shine. This is why the people you once clung to don't feel the same anymore. This is why the plans you made don't excite you the way they used to. It's not because you've failed. It's not because you've become ungrateful. It's because your soul is outgrowing the life it used to settle for. You're being aligned with blessings you can't see yet. Your heart is being tuned to desires that match the future Allah has written for you. That restlessness you feel, that quiet longing for something more, is the first sign. It's Allah whispering to your soul, what you wanted was never small, but what I've written for you is greater. And so, without asking for your permission, He starts to change you from the inside out. The shift is gentle, but it's undeniable. Your prayers deepen, Your thoughts evolve. Your definition of happiness transforms. And while the world around you remains the same, you're not the same anymore. This is where the journey begins. Not when everything outside changes, but when Allah first begins. To change your heart, there comes a time when Allah begins to gently loosen your grip. The things you used to hold onto so tightly start slipping away, not all at once, but piece by piece. It begins subtly. You notice how certain conversations no longer feed your soul. The dreams that once consumed you don't feel as alive anymore. The places you fought to belong in now feel foreign to your heart. At first you resist. You think, no, this is what I wanted. This is what I prayed for. I can't just let this go. So you try harder. You cling tighter. You fight to keep the same people, the same plans, the same version of yourself intact. But no matter how much you fight it, you can feel your heart letting go. And it hurts. It hurts because you've built your life around the things you're now being pulled away from. It hurts because your entire identity was tied to the dreams you're slowly outgrowing. You ask yourself, why would Allah change my heart like this? Why give me the desire only to take it away? But He's not taking anything from you. He's making space because what's ahead of you cannot coexist with what's behind you. The version of you He's shaping cannot carry the same desires that once defined you. And so He begins the gentle work of emptying your heart of everything that doesn't belong in your next chapter. That's why the people you once clung to don't feel the same anymore. It's why the dreams you cried for no longer ignite your passion. It's why the life you built suddenly feels too small for your soul. This is Allah rewriting your desires so they match the destiny He's written for you. You may not see it yet, but every shift inside you is alignment. One day, you'll look back and realize why certain things had to lose their shine, why certain relationships had to fade, why certain ambitions had to dissolve. Because if He didn't remove them, you would have settled for less than what He created you for. It's not rejection, it's protection. The heartbreak, the unanswered detours, the unexpected detours. They were never punishments. They were gentle redirections towards what your soul truly needs. And while it feels painful now, this is mercy. Because the old you cannot carry the blessings ahead. The desires that once consumed you were too small for the life Allah is shaping for you. So He plants new ones. Without you even realizing, your heart begins to long for things you never used to crave. You start wanting peace, more than attention, depth, more than noise, meaning, more than recognition. And these new desires, they're not random. They're whispers from your future, proof that Allah is shaping you inwardly before He transforms your life outwardly. One day, it all begins to make sense. One morning, you wake up and realize that the things you used to cry for don't even live in your heart anymore. The doors you once begged Allah to open don't feel like yours to walk through anymore. The people you thought you couldn't live without don't even cross your mind the same way they used to. And you pause. You sit there quietly, feeling both strange and at peace, and you whisper to yourself, when did I change this much? It's in that silence that you realize the truth. You didn't lose anything. You were being prepared. Every unanswered dua, every detour, every heartbreak, every delay dash, none of it was wasted. Allah was slowly shaping you into someone who could hold the blessings He was already writing for you. And when those blessings finally arrive, they don't come with chaos. They don't come with struggle. They don't make you beg to be kept. They fit. The opportunities flow without force. The relationships align without exhaustion. The doors open without you having to break yourself to unlock them. And you'll understand something profound. It was never about what I wanted. It was always about what Allah knew I needed. You'll look back at your old desires and smile softly, because if Allah had given you what you once begged for, it would have delayed or destroyed what he was saving for you. The person you were back then couldn't have carried this chapter. The dreams you clung to were too small for the life he's been preparing. The version of you that once fought for the wrong doors wouldn't have survived the weight of the right ones. So he stripped you down, he emptied your hands, he rewrote your heart, and now you see why. You see why certain people had to leave, why certain prayers had to remain unanswered, why certain plans had to fail. Because what you thought was breaking you was actually building you. Every tear shaped you, every loss refined you, every detour carried you closer to where you were always meant to be. And standing there in the middle of blessings you couldn't have even imagined, you'll whisper through tears, Ya Allah. While I was busy begging you for less, you were preparing me for more. That's why your desires changed. That's why your heart shifted. That's why the old life stopped feeling enough, because the person Allah is turning you into couldn't survive. In the places you were once begging to stay, He loved you too much to let you stay small. And now every longing in your heart matches the life He's written for you. Every dua you make aligns with the destiny He's been preparing. Every step you take feels lighter than it used to because you're finally walking the path that was always yours. And when you reach that moment, you'll understand something beautiful. Allah didn't change your heart to take anything from you. He changed it to give you what was always meant for you. This is why you had to outgrow those old dreams. This is why you had to outgrow those people. This is why you had to outgrow the version of yourself that once thought it knew everything, because He was whispering all along. What you wanted was never small, but what I've written for you is greater. And finally, you'll feel it in your bones. You'll know without a doubt that His plan was worth every unanswered prayer, every delayed blessing, every sleepless night. You'll close your eyes and whisper the only words your heart can manage, Alhamdulillah. For every no, for every wait, for every rewrite, that led me here. 6. The sudden weight on your soul. There comes a moment in your journey when your soul begins to feel heavier than ever before. It happens quietly. You wake up one day and nothing feels the same. The world looks the same, but you feel different. The laughter that once filled your days doesn't reach you anymore. The people around you don't bring the comfort they used to. Even the dreams you worked so hard for suddenly feel distant, empty, and you can't explain it. How do you put into words a weight that no one else can see? How do you explain a storm that lives entirely within you? You smile in front of people, you laugh when you need to, you carry on like everything's fine. But deep down, you know something's shifting. It's as if your soul knows something your mind hasn't yet understood. That sudden heaviness, that deep ache you feel, is not random. It's the beginning of something. Sometimes before Allah opens a new chapter in your life, He presses on your soul in ways that force you to pause. He slows you down, He interrupts your rhythm, He lets you feel the weight of everything you've been ignoring. And it's uncomfortable, because suddenly you're face to face with feelings you've buried for years. You start questioning everything, your purpose, your plans, your relationships, even yourself. It feels like breaking, but it isn't. It's preparation. That weight you feel on your soul is not there to destroy you. It's there to strip away everything that can't follow you into where Allah is taking you next. The old desires, the old habits, the old version of you. It's Allah whispering to your heart, I'm making room. I'm removing what no longer serves you. I'm shaping you for blessings you cannot yet carry. This heaviness is sacred. It's the silent work of Allah within you, rebuilding you from the inside out. And yes, it feels lonely, because no one else can see what's happening beneath the surface. No one else understands why you've grown quieter, why you've pulled away, why you spend more time with your thoughts than with people. But this is the sign. When Allah chooses you for something greater, He starts by slowing you down, by pressing pause on everything that once distracted you. This isn't punishment. This isn't depression. This is transformation. It's the stillness before the shift. There are moments when you feel like you're carrying a mountain inside your chest, a weight you can't name, a heaviness that words can't explain, and no one else notices it. You walk among people, you smile when you need to, you laugh when the world expects you to, but inside, you're crumbling quietly. That's the thing about these silent seasons. They happen in ways no one can see. The battle is invisible, but it's real, and this weight you feel. It's not punishment, it's not a curse, it's divine surgery. Before Allah elevates you, He breaks you open from the inside, not to hurt you, but to heal you. Because there are parts of you that cannot survive the future He's preparing for you. The old wounds, the toxic attachments, the desires you thought defined you, the patterns that kept you small. All of it. It cannot follow you where Allah is taking you next. So He presses on your soul. He stirs a restlessness within you. He lets the life around you feel too small, too loud, too heavy. Not because He's forgotten you, but because He's calling you higher. And this is where it hurts the most. When you start losing interest in the very things you once begged for, the people you thought would always stay, start to feel distant. The dreams you worked so hard for suddenly feel irrelevant. The circles you used to crave begin to feel suffocating. It's confusing because you can't explain why your heart no longer fits where it once belonged. But deep down, you sense it. You're being prepared. This is why the weight feels so heavy, because Allah is taking away everything that cannot hold what He's about to place in your hands. He's emptying you to fill you with something greater. And in these moments, you'll notice something else too. Your du'as start changing. The prayers you used to make don't feel the same anymore. You stop asking for the same people. You stop chasing the same outcomes. You stop begging for what once consumed you. Because Allah has already begun rewriting your heart. Without even realizing it, you start craving closeness to Him, more than validation from people. You start seeking peace instead of noise. You start longing for depth instead of distraction. This heaviness isn't here to crush you. It's here to redirect you, because Allah knows you wouldn't leave certain spaces on your own. You wouldn't release certain hands by choice. You wouldn't walk away from the life you've known for so long. So He stirs the weight. He unsettles your heart. He lets the places you once loved lose their meaning so you can rise into the places He created for you. This is why everything feels strange right now. Because the old you is fading. The old life is dissolving, and your soul is being pulled toward a reality you can't yet see. It feels like breaking, but it's actually becoming. And then, one day, you wake up and notice something different. The weight you've been carrying doesn't feel as crushing anymore. It's still there, but it's lighter somehow, as if something deep within you has surrendered. That's when you realize you're not the same person you were when this heaviness first began. The tears you cried, the nights you questioned everything, the pieces of yourself you thought you lost. They weren't wasted. They were reshaping you. You start to see it now. The weight was never there to punish you. It was there to prepare you, because what you couldn't see then was that Allah was removing the layers that weren't truly you, the fears, the attachments, the desires that would have harmed you, the version of yourself that would have settled for less than what He wrote for you. And so He broke you open, only to rebuild you stronger, purer, clearer than before. This is why certain people had to leave. This is why certain plans had to fail. This is why certain doors stayed closed, no matter how hard you knocked. It wasn't rejection. It wasn't abandonment. It was love, because Allah knew you were clinging to things too small for the person He was shaping you to become. That weight you felt in your chest, those sleepless nights, that quiet ache you carried. They were all signs, signs that you were outgrowing. The life you once thought was everything, signs that your soul was being stretched to fit the blessings ahead of you, and now you can finally breathe. The prayers you make today aren't the same as the ones you used to whisper. The things you long for now aren't the same as what once consumed you, because somewhere along the way, Allah rewrote your heart. The desires you thought defined you have dissolved, making space for the ones that align perfectly with His plan. And when those blessings arrive, they'll come gently, without force, without chaos, without struggle. They'll flow into your life like they were always meant to be there. And you'll sit there, eyes wet, hands trembling, whispering, "Ya Allah," while I was busy breaking under the weight. You were preparing me to carry more than I ever imagined. This is why the heaviness came. This is why your soul felt pressed. This is why everything once familiar suddenly became uncomfortable. Because Allah was calling you higher, and now you're lighter, stronger, wiser. The weight didn't crush you. It refined you. It carved you into someone who can finally hold what Allah has been preparing for you all along. One day, you'll look back and realize that even the hardest nights were drenched in His mercy, and you'll whisper through grateful tears, "Alhamdulillah," for every delay, for every heartbreak, for every weight on my soul that carried me back to you. 7. The signs in delays and detours. There comes a moment when you think you're late. Late for the life you dreamed of. Late for the prayers you've been whispering for years. Late for the blessings you thought would have arrived by now. You look around and see others moving forward, doors opening for them, opportunities finding them, smiles on their faces, while you're left waiting in the quiet. And deep inside, you whisper, "Ya Allah, why not me? Why does it feel like my life is on pause, while the whole world moves ahead?" But what you don't see is that delays aren't denials. They're signs, gentle signs, that your story is being written with precision. You see, Allah isn't late. He's exact. The blessings written for you aren't just random gifts thrown carelessly into your life. They are perfectly timed arrivals, prepared for the exact moment when you are ready to carry them. And until that moment comes, Allah holds them back, not to hurt you, not to punish you, but to align you. Because what good is a blessing if your heart isn't ready to hold it? What good is an opportunity if you step into it too early and break beneath its weight? So Allah delays. He delays to protect you. He delays to strengthen you. He delays to rearrange the pieces of your life so that when His plan unfolds, everything fits perfectly. But while you wait, it's hard because you can't see the bigger picture yet. You can't understand why the doors stay closed when you've prayed so hard. And that's where faith is tested the most. In the silence, in the pauses, in the endless nights, when you wonder if your doers are even reaching Him. But the silence is never empty. Every delay has a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. Every detour hides a mercy, even if it feels like loss right now. Because Allah isn't just preparing the blessing, He's preparing you. Sometimes Allah redirects you so gently, you don't even notice it happening. A door you begged for stays closed. A plan you built your whole world around collapses overnight. A person you thought was written in your destiny quietly drifts away. And you think, "Ya Allah, why? Why take away what I wanted so badly?" But you don't see what He sees. You see a dream. He sees the cost. You see the moment. He sees the future. You see what you want. He knows what you need. And so, out of His mercy, He moves you away from what would have broken you before you ever understood why. That's why He lets certain doors remain shut, even when you've been knocking for years. That's why He removes certain people, even when you're begging Him to keep them. That's why He delays certain blessings, even when your heart feels ready. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Because what if the blessing you wanted wasn't actually a blessing at all? What if the path you were praying for would have led you away from Him? What if the people you're crying over today would have destroyed the peace? He's preparing for you tomorrow. Allah protects you in ways you don't always recognize. And sometimes His protection looks like heartbreak. Sometimes His mercy feels like loss. Sometimes His love sounds like silence. But silence is never emptiness. It's a conversation you can't hear yet. Because while you think nothing is moving, everything is shifting. Every delay, every detour, every pause you didn't choose. It's Allah quietly rearranging the pieces of your life to make room for what's truly yours. And here's the secret most people miss. The longer the delay, the greater the alignment. When Allah holds something back, it's because He's weaving together a story so precise that even the tiniest details are falling perfectly into place. The friendships you lost, the opportunities that slipped away, the heartbreaks you didn't understand. None of them were accidents. They were all threads in the fabric of a greater plan you can't see yet. One day you'll look back and realize that if even one of those doors had opened, you wouldn't be where Allah is leading you now. The delays weren't delays at all. They were protection. They were positioning. They were whispers from Allah saying, "Trust me, I know what's ahead. You don't need to see it yet." And slowly, without realizing it, your du'as begin to change. You stop begging for specific outcomes. You stop asking for doors that no longer feel like yours. You stop chasing timelines that don't match your season anymore. Instead, you start whispering softer prayers. Ya Allah, if this is for me, make it mine. If it's not, remove it gently and replace it with what's better. And that's when everything shifts. Because when your heart surrenders, your delays stop feeling like punishments. They start feeling like signs. One day, you'll look back and realize something beautiful. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered dua, every no you thought was rejection, none of it was wasted. Because while you were busy waiting, Allah was busy preparing doors you didn't even know existed, preparing blessings far greater than the ones you thought you needed, preparing people who will honor your soul in ways the ones you cried for never could. And in that moment, you'll finally understand you were never behind. You were right on time. Because Allah is never late. He's precise, perfectly precise. The reason certain things took so long is because they weren't just about you. Allah was aligning the universe around you. He was preparing your risk. He was shaping your heart. He was writing your story in ways that connected pieces you didn't even know were missing. And when His timing arrives, it won't feel forced. It won't feel chaotic. It won't make you beg to keep it. It will fit. The doors will open naturally. The opportunities will flow gently. The relationships will arrive effortlessly. And the life you once begged for will quietly unfold before your eyes, without you chasing, without you breaking, without you forcing. And in that moment, you'll whisper through tears, Ya Allah, while I thought you were delaying me, you were protecting me. While I thought you were silent, you were aligning everything perfectly. While I was begging for less, you were preparing me for more. This is the secret hidden in your waiting. You are not stuck. You are being positioned because there are blessings that require a stronger version of you to carry them. There are relationships that need you healed before they arrive. There are opportunities that would have destroyed you if they came too soon. So Allah makes you wait. And yes, the wait is heavy. The silence feels endless. The heartache feels sharp. But this heaviness isn't a punishment. It's proof that you're being prepared. Every season of waiting is Allah pulling you closer to Him. Every delayed plan is His mercy shielding you from harm. Every detour you didn't choose is Him steering you toward a life you couldn't have built on your own. And when that life finally unfolds, you'll understand everything. You'll understand why He took certain people away. You'll understand why He closed doors you once cried for. You'll understand why He delayed the blessings you thought you were ready for, because now you are ready. And you'll whisper through grateful tears, Alhamdulillah, for every delay, for every detour, for every unanswered dua. That led me exactly where I was always meant to be. 8. The dua for the one listening right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Forget everything around you. Forget the deadlines, the heartbreaks, the unanswered messages, the weight you've been carrying alone. Right now, it's just you and Allah. I want you to breathe, slowly, deeply, because this moment, this pause, this very second, is not an accident. You were meant to hear this. This dua ... this whisper, this reminder dash. It found you for a reason. Because Allah knows your heart is tired. He knows the silent battles you're fighting. He knows the nights you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if things will ever change. He knows the duas you stopped making, because you thought they'd never be answered. He knows about the weight you hide behind your smile. He knows about the dreams you buried quietly, pretending you've moved on. And tonight, He wants you to know He has never left you. Every tear, every sigh, every thought that felt too small to bring to Him, He heard them all. And right now, I want you to whisper with me from the depths of your heart, even if it's shaking, Ya Allah, I'm tired, I'm weak. I don't know how to carry this anymore. I don't know what's next, but you do, and that's enough for me. Feel that for a moment, because that's not just words leaving your lips. That's surrender. And surrender is where everything changes. Sometimes Allah waits for this moment, the moment you finally let go of how you thought your life should be, so He can show you the life He's been preparing for you all along. This is the pause, before the blessings arrive, the silence, before your duas unfold, the heaviness, before He lifts you higher than you imagined. So tonight, I want you to sit in this stillness and let your heart speak freely to Him. No rehearsed lines, no perfect Arabic, just you, raw, unfiltered, exactly as you are. He already knows what's breaking you. He already knows what's missing. He already knows the thing you don't tell anyone about because the wound is too deep to explain. He knows, and He's closer than you realize. Ya Allah, if my heart has been holding on to what's not written for me, remove it gently. Don't let me fight for what you've protected me from. Replace it with something better, something mine, something that leads me closer to you. And as you whisper this, I want you to remember, the weight is not wasted. The pain is not pointless. The silence is not empty. Right now, you're being rewritten. Your story is unfolding in ways your eyes can't yet see. Allah hasn't forgotten you, not for a moment. Ya Allah, you know the secrets I've buried so deeply that even I don't visit them anymore. The dreams I stopped talking about, the duas I stopped making, the pieces of myself I quietly let die because I thought you'd forgotten me. But you didn't forget. You never forgot. Every silent tear carried my name to you. Every broken whisper was heard in the heavens. Every night I thought I cried alone. You were there, watching, protecting, loving me in ways I couldn't see. Ya Allah, if this pain is meant to bring me closer to you, then let me endure it with patience. But if it's something I was never meant to carry, lift it from my heart gently. Replace it with your peace. Feel that for a moment. The space where your chest feels tight. The ache you never knew how to explain. That's the exact place Allah is healing right now. Because sometimes He doesn't answer your dua by changing your situation. He answers it by changing you. He shifts your heart before He shifts your world. He empties your hands before He fills them again. He closes doors because the rooms behind them aren't meant to hold the person you're becoming. And that's why it feels heavy right now, because He's stretching you, breaking you, reshaping you into someone who can carry the blessings you once prayed for. Ya Allah, I trust you even when I don't understand you. I believe in your timing even when my heart aches to run ahead. I know you hear me even when my world feels quiet. I know you're near even when I feel alone. Sometimes the silence is the loudest answer. Because while you think nothing is moving, everything is shifting. The delays aren't punishment. The detours aren't rejection. They're alignment. Allah is writing a story for you that's bigger than your understanding and more beautiful than anything you've imagined. So tonight, let your heart rest. Stop fighting the unknown. Stop holding so tightly to what He's already moved away. Trust Him. Trust His plan more than you trust your pain. Trust His timing more than you trust your deadlines. Trust His love more than you trust your fears, because He has heard you every time, every word, every silence, every tear. Ya Allah, if this is my season of waiting, then let me wait with grace. If this is my season of patience, then fill me with sabr. And if this is my season of healing, then pull me closer to you, until I find everything I've been missing in you alone. And maybe that's the answer you've been searching for all along. It was never about receiving more. It was always about returning home, back to Him. Ya Allah, how many nights have I carried this ache, thinking no one sees me? How many days have I smiled when inside I was breaking? How many times have I whispered to you with trembling hands and thought you were silent? But you were never silent. I just didn't understand your answers. I thought unanswered du'as meant you'd forgotten me. But now I see. Your silence was never neglect. It was mercy. Because while I was begging you for less, you were preparing me for more. While I was holding on to what was hurting me, you were gently pulling me away. While I was crying over doors that closed, you were building better ones I couldn't see yet. Ya Allah, I don't want anything that pulls me away from you. If my heart is holding on to what's not mine, detach me from it gently. If I'm walking toward what would break me, turn me back softly. And if what I want is smaller than what you've written for me, teach me how to let it go. Sometimes Allah's greatest mercy is not giving you what you ask for, because if He gave it too soon, it would have destroyed you. If He opened the wrong door, you would have mistaken pain for blessings. If He let every dua unfold immediately, you wouldn't grow into the person He needs you to become first. This waiting season isn't wasted. It's molding you. It's sharpening you. It's purifying your heart, so that when His blessings finally arrive, you can hold them without losing Him. Ya Allah, if my heart is restless tonight, calm it. If my chest is heavy, lighten it. If my soul is tired, revive it with your mercy. Don't let me drown in the weight of what I don't understand. Let me rise through it, closer to you. And here's the truth. Sometimes Allah delays. Not because you're behind, but because you're being positioned. He's placing you in moments, teaching you lessons, breaking certain attachments, and preparing your hands to receive what you once thought was impossible. This is why He removes people you thought you'd need forever. This is why He redirects paths you were certain were yours. This is why He slows everything down when your heart is racing ahead, because He knows what you don't, and He sees what you can't. So tonight, breathe. Your story isn't stuck. Your du'as aren't lost. Your delays aren't denial. They are signs. Signs that your blessings are not just coming, they are being perfected. Ya Allah, when the things I've prayed for finally arrive, make me grateful. When the doors I thought were locked open, make me humble. And when the blessings you've written for me unfold, don't let me forget that every yes came after 1,000 hidden mercies. And in that surrender, something beautiful happens. The weight lifts, the heart softens, the silence feels less like punishment and more like protection, because finally you begin to understand Allah has been listening all along. Every second, every breath, every whisper. And when the timing is right, everything you've been praying for will meet you in ways that make you fall to your knees and whisper through tears, Subhanallah, you were here all along. Ya Allah, there were nights I thought I couldn't survive. Nights where the silence was so loud, I thought it meant you had left me. Nights where my pillow knew more about my pain than my closest friends ever did. But here I am, I survived them, and now I see I was never alone. It was you who held me through the weight I couldn't carry. It was you who wiped the tears I never let anyone see. It was you who gave me the strength to keep waking up on mornings when my heart begged me to give up. Ya Allah, for every time I thought you were silent, forgive me, because now I see that you were speaking the loudest in those moments I called empty. You were speaking through the doors you closed, through the people you removed, through the delays that broke my plans, through the pauses I didn't choose. And tonight, I don't ask you to explain anymore. I ask you to carry me, because I've finally learned that I don't need to understand your plan, to trust it. I don't need to see the path, to walk it. I don't need to know when, to believe you've already written the how. Ya Allah, if this is my season of waiting, make my heart patient. If this is my season of healing, make my heart gentle with itself. And if this is my season of transformation, hold my hand so I don't let go of yours. Sometimes Allah doesn't change your situation immediately because He's using the waiting to change you. You prayed for strength and He sent trials to build it. You prayed for wisdom and He gave you silence to listen deeper than ever before. You prayed for closeness to Him and He removed everything that kept you distracted from His presence. Every heartbreak you thought would destroy you was actually opening you. Every delay you thought meant denial was actually alignment. Every unanswered dua was Allah saying, wait, I have better. And one day, when the blessings finally unfold, you'll cry harder than you ever have before. Not because of the gifts, but because of the giver. You'll look back at every night you doubted, every day you questioned, every whispered why in sujood. And you'll whisper through trembling lips, Ya Allah, how could I have ever thought you didn't hear me? Because He heard you, every time, every word, every silence, every tear. Ya Allah, wrap this heart in your mercy, protect it from what it wants, if it's not what you've written for it. And if what I'm waiting for is already mine, make me ready for it, make it arrive in the best way, and make it something that brings me closer to you. And in that surrender, you find something priceless, peace. Because suddenly you stop clinging to timelines. You stop begging for control. You stop fearing the unknown. You realize there was never anything to fear, because Allah was with you all along, and the weight begins to lift. The silence starts to feel safe. The waiting turns into worship, because now you understand there was never a moment, not even one breath, where you were unseen, unheard, or unloved. Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah, for the pauses I called delays, for the losses I thought were failures, for the unanswered du'as. That became the greatest gifts of my life. And as you whisper those words, your heart finally rests, because it knows now what it's always been searching for. It was never about what you asked for. It was about who you were asking. Before you leave this video, pause. Think about every unanswered dua, every delayed blessing, every heartbreak you thought would break you. You thought Allah was silent. You thought you were forgotten. But now you know you were being prepared all along. That restlessness in your soul, that weight on your heart, those moments where nothing made sense, they weren't random. They were whispers, signs from Allah that your story is shifting, that your destiny is being rewritten in ways far greater than what you were praying for. So tonight, as you close your eyes, breathe. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not alone. Every tear was counted, every prayer was heard. Every delay was protection. Trust the author of your story, because when his timing arrives, you'll look back at everything you once begged him to change and whisper through tears, Subhanallah, you knew all along. May Allah soften your heart, heal your wounds, and make you ready for the blessings that carry your name. Ameen.